I just analyzed the whole today's slate. This is the best value I found. No fluff, only real value, as we always do on this channel. So let's get started. And before we jump into the names, let me show you why this board matters. Because what you are about to see is not random guessing, not hype, and not just chasing big names. It's full process. Most people open the slate, look a few hitters, and they already know and force action. That's not what we do here. We start with the full market, we run numbers, we remove bad prices, and only then we talk about what's actually playable. So first, real quickly, this is the model performance over the last 30 days. This is not just random numbers on the screen. This is output of the process I'm using every day to structure on the slate. You can see total predictions, model versus market, average edge, and units won. The point here is not to pretend the model is perfect. No, it's not perfect. The point is much simpler. It gives me a repeatable framework to compare price against probability instead of just betting what looks good. That's not edge, not emotion, not narratives, just structured filtering. And that matters even more in home run markets because those boards are noisy, odds are inflated, and one popular name can trick a lot of people into a bad bet. Now this is a real mess. This is late before the work is done. Over 100 players, different prices, different matchups, different profiles. And if you try to attack this board with pure instinct, you are going to overbet, overreact, and pay for names instead of value. This is why I don't start with picks. I start with the full slate. Right here, all we have is the board, just players, lines, and numbers. No real separation yet, no clear ranking, no actual signal. So this is the part most people never do. They stop here, pick a couple of names and call it analysis. I don't. I take the whole slate, run it through the model and build the actual board. So in this Tuesday, I've got the full player pool for today. I'm going to run the entire slate through the model, fill the board, and then come back with actual EV, actual price in context, and actual separation between what looks playable and what is just noise. So just give me a sec. Alright, now we are back. I spent a few hours on this and now we've got a full board built out. So this is where the slate actual starts making sense. Now we can see difference between play reputation and price quality. We've got the inputs where we've got the win percentage, we've got EV, and now we can finally stop guessing and start comparing real numbers. So this is the part I care about most. Because once the board is filled, you stop looking at names first, you start looking at whether the number is actually worth betting. And that's a huge difference. A hitter can be great and still be a bad bet. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make in this market. They see a great hitter and assume that automatically means value. They see a great hitter, but that not means value. If the price is too short, if the edge is thin, if the EV isn't there, you're starting from behind. This is B tier board. These are the names I'm comfortable discussing publicly because the numbers still make sense, the value is still there, and the process behind them is clear enough to explain. So this is not earliest edge. The A top tier board was already posted earlier in Winnable for the people who want the first numbers before the market moves. But for free value, this is still a very strong group, and this is already way better than most people are doing because now we are not looking at the whole slate anymore. We are only looking at names that passed through the filter. So here's how I look at this quickly. I'm not trying to overcomplicate the board on video. The main things I care about here are model win percentage, edge, EV, and then whether the supporting profile actually makes sense. That means I'm checking whether the player has enough quality in the profile to justify the number. Barrels matter, barrel rate matters, attempts matter, angle matters, the overall hitting environment matters. But at the end of the day, if the pricing is not there, none of that matters. So that's why is this board useful. It keeps everything in one place. It gives structure to whole slate. So let's start with one of the cleaner names on the free board. This one is stand out because the pricing gap is real, not tiny. The model probability comes out higher than Vegas probability. The edge is positive and the EV holds up well enough to justify a play. What I like here is that it's not just a good hitter case, it's a price versus probability case. The board is telling me the number we've got and the Vegas we've got. So that's exactly what I want on a public pick. Not the flashiest name, not the biggest brand, just a number that still gives something back. The model likes the price more than the market does, and positive EV is still enough to stay on the board. This is kind of pick I actually like giving publicly because it teaches the right lesson. We are not forcing action, we are not overreacting to names, we are not chasing to the shortest number on the board, we are simply taking the spots where the price are still making sense. I'm showing you the structure, the filtered board, and the logic behind the picks for free. Most people don't get to see this layer at all. Usually what the public gets is just random list of names with a bunch of shallow takes. Here you actually see the process behind the selection. That's the difference, and that's why I keep repeating the same thing. This channel is not about, it's about real value. Now for the people asking where the strongest board is, the A tier layer was posted earlier, and the reason is simple. If you wait too long, the best numbers, the market adjusts, the value gets worse, and the whole point is gone. So the earliest and strongest layer goes out first for people who want the board before the best numbers start disappearing. What I'm giving here is still very solid public value, but it's not the earliest layer. The reason I do it this way is because I'm not trying to be the guy who just yells out picks. I want the board to make sense. I want every play to come from a process. I want free contact to still be useful, but I also want to protect the people who are there early and want the strongest numbers in the real time. So that the whole structure, full slate, full process, filtered board, and public layer. Earlier, premium layer. So that's the board for today. We started with the full slate, cleaned the mess up, built the actual model board, and narrowed it down to names that are at least worth real discussion. That alone already puts you ahead of most bettors who are still picking off reputation instead of price. If you want the earliest board with the strongest A tier layer and the updates before the market moves, that's already up in winnable. But even from this public board, you can already see the logic. We do not chase names, we do not force actions, and we do not bet in without a number that making sense. So that's it for today. No fluff, only real value. I will see you in the next one.